We'll be going live at noon Eastern Standard Time. This is Stephen Pope, founder of My Amazon Guy. We'll be taking any question whatsoever. Feel free to start writing your questions in the comments. right, guys. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. It's our weekly Friday at noon Ask Me Any Amazon Question thread. And you guys are lighting me up today. There are more than 25, 30 questions in queue already. So let's dive right in, guys. Super excited to talk to you. I'm always pumped to ask and answer questions with you guys. So you guys are welcome to put as many questions as you want. Rules, as always, I will answer to the best of my knowledge, trying to use my encyclopedia brain for all things Amazon. So let's start out with Matt. Matt, thank you for being a fan. You've been to many of our live webinars, just answered one of your questions or said thanks for watching on one of our comments that you left the other hour as well. Matt says, so when I list my private label product on as many different marketplaces as possible for protection, do I and how do I use the same ASIN across all? Don't need to worry about the ASIN, just use the same UPC. The same UPC will connect it just fine. That's really the main component. This past week, I actually found massive amounts of hijackers on my Canadian listings. And when I was filing tickets, what I discovered is they were rejecting my claim for my brand registry ownership to get rid of the Canadian hijackers. So what I ended up doing is I filed a Canadian trademark this week. Never thought I'd end up doing that. And within 24 hours of me doing that, I had the serial number and I started issuing takedowns for the Canadian listings and they all went through. So apparently Amazon's updated their policy where you have to have the trademark in the country you're trying to remove the hijacker. So at bare minimum, for anybody watching, I recommend that you at least fill out your data in those countries. But if you're actually trying to remove hijackers from other countries, you will need a trademark in those countries. So by end of day today, I will have launched a Canadian trademark service on my website. We realize that there's probably a massive demand for this. Anybody watching right now, you can order on my regular trademark service, but just make sure you annotate it's for Canada. Otherwise, my attorney won't know better. So in any case, that's what you need to do, Matt. Use the same UPC. You also had another question. When you launch a new product for a client, what do you advise jumpstart sales? So what I recommend doing is spend $2,000 in external ads, Google, Facebook, whatever, just to get traffic to the listing, knowing that you can't actually dictate or predict what sales will come from it. You're just trying to jumpstart the listing. Then spend $2,000 on Amazon sponsored products, by all means necessary, every segmentation, auto, manual, etc. Search, find, buy, not a fan of it anymore. And I think that there's some risk involved with search, find, buy. But if you just did search, find, buy for 5 or 10 orders, it probably couldn't hurt. Anthony says, can Amazon customers edit a review at any time? Yes, they can. You just can't contact them anymore to ask them to do that, unfortunately. Let's flip my light on. Let's see, I look a little better now, huh? All right. And Anthony also asks, is using copyrighted music for Amazon videos against terms of service? Probably not. Probably can get away with that. I don't think they do any checks. But at the end of the day, I would recommend, using something license free or order it. But I don't think you're going to have any risks on that. That could change at any point in time. But as far as I know, we haven't had any issues at this point. Daniel says, hi, everyone. Sunny day in Brazil. Well, hello down in Brazil. How do you say hello in Portuguese? Somebody let me know. Daniel writes, why all good YouTube live at the same hour? Yours and Lunch with Norm. Well, I'll be honest. I just kind of picked this time because it was convenient for me. And when I looked at the data on my dashboard inside of YouTube, that was when most of my content viewers were showing up. Was noon. And so I first started my series on Tuesdays, and then I decided, Tuesdays was a little busy for me, so I bumped it over to Fridays. And then Monday through Thursday, if I have a guest, that's when I take those as well. But yeah, sorry about that, Daniel. You can always watch a replay of Norm's, since you're going to watch mine first. I do like Norm, though. Great guy. Good content. Kalimbus, you might have asked something. I didn't read it all. Okay. P.S. Just waiting for my specimen to apply for a trademark with you. I asked my supplier to add the brand name to my samples. Perfect. That's fantastic. You could even just have them take a cell phone picture right over in China and use that for your specimen. Get that going. So anybody that needs a trademark, $775, and we file it within 1 business day. You can order at myamazonguy.com. I'll share my screen here just briefly. just to remind you what that looks like. So in services, trademark dropdown right here. And by end of day today, we'll have a Canadian trademark dropdown as well. All right, let's go to the next question. Kalimba, does Amazon automatically reimburse sellers for customer refunds that were delivered late by carrier? Why isn't it Amazon at fault here, basically? Do you have to request reimbursement for those? So this one's tricky. Amazon does not automatically reimburse the customers. The customers are the ones asking for the reimbursement. And there's credit card companies out there. One of them starts with they have a special program like Paribus or something. Don't quote me on that name. And then it flags to the consumers, and that's why this is happening. And then Amazon has a service level agreement. And if they don't fulfill that, then they offer a small reduction of fees. The seller, unfortunately, does not get reimbursed for these, to my knowledge. It is just part of the fulfillment process. It's cost of doing business. Does it suck? Absolutely. Can you take any action? Most likely not. However, we do have a refund service called My Refund Guy. And if you haven't checked that out, or if you don't have any clawback service in place, I highly recommend it. This is something that the refund team could respond and look into for you, let you know if you're being taken advantage. Mostly, though, most of the funds you get from a clawback service are from lost and damaged units. That's like 80% of them. Refunds and mishandled returns, it's like, 10, and lost inbound shipments, another 10 there. All right, let's go to the next question here. Nasib says, hey, Steve, hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you, Nasib. Wanted to ask if where I were to launch a new product on an existing ASIN, similar to the original, how would that affect indexing? ASIN has reviews from before. So indexing would restart. Sometimes the past product would have had some saved indexing. Other times it will have none if it's been dormant a while. But if it's got indexing and then you all of a sudden relaunch it and then get a bunch of sales, it'll probably be a little bit slower than if you launch the ASIN on a new ASIN. So generally the only reason why you would want to do this is if you have some past product reviews on that listing. Amazon does discourage this technique. They don't like it, but they don't do anything to prevent it. So you're totally fine there. Nasib asks, what would you recommend leaving campaigns on, even though it doesn't generate any sales, just to get the ASIN to rank on said keywords? So no point if you're not generating sales at all. You definitely need the sales for it to be beneficial. So I would recommend not running ads if you're not generating sales. Glenn says, I'm sold out soon. Time to raise your prices. FBA has suggested an amount to send in. I'm sending about 50% of that amount, but it keeps saying in red, your total volume of standard size inventory must be below your inventory of your total volume standard size inventory must be below your inventory storage, etc. Now I just get a blank page. Any idea what's up? So the good news on this is if you hit your limit, if you just keep mashing that submit button, it might go through. And the reason I know this is because I did it 3 times this week on my own account. I don't think I'll get in trouble for it because the system let me do it. But, caution on those kinds of techniques. But the system, when systems break and they're really stupid and they do things that don't make sense, I always like to document those problems so others can also see it. So I'll just briefly share my screen here. So on the left-hand side corner here, let's see if we make that bigger actually. I got to move your question away too. Very tiny, you can't really see this, but in the bottom left, you can see I'm like out of room. I'm at my 15,000. This number right here though, when I go through the actual FBA shipment creation, it actually like bugs out. It says I'm over 15,000 when I do it. Now, mind you, I have it, look at the very bottom left here. I have unlimited storage, but I have restock limitations on the account. It's like nonsensical. What's the point of the IPI score if you're still going to limit me, right? Like it's totally stupid. But that's the situation with Amazon right now. When they first made the change on Friday, a week ago today, I was like, "Oh, this is great! No more limitations to my SKUs." Well, it turns out it actually was worse for many sellers, and now you can't ship in your entire standard storage instead of just that stupid one SKU that had the problem. So that's definitely a challenge for sure. but try and get that shipment to go through if you can. Kalimba says, I currently have a high performing product. Congratulations. And I'd like to add color variations. Any risk to sales rank or losing reviews on current product by doing so? No risk to reviews. I would say if you're thinking about adding color variations, only add like 2 or 3. Don't go gung-ho and do like 8, because you're more likely to gain sales velocity if you add brand new products instead of adding a color variation. You'll probably see 10% of the main ASIN sales go to another color. And then the question is adding those colors, will that be a greater than 10% loss? If so, worth doing. But they usually do not catch up to the main ASIN. It's rare for that to happen. So don't like forecast equal sales velocities on all those. That's not going to happen. Glenn says, what can you do if seller support keeps saying the same relevant department will get back to me, but after asking, no one is coming back? Only thing you can do, Glenn, is call in once every 2 or 3 days, file a brand new ticket. Make sure that your problem is outlined very well in your ticket. Like, don't complain in your ticketing. Just reaffirm your problem and solution. If you start complaining in the ticket, you'll get less customer service, unfortunately. Fancy says, how do I get ungated to sell my own handmade beauty products that I manufacture and make myself? That's very difficult. What I'd recommend you do, Fancy, is get a COA or an invoice from a regularly manufactured product you don't make yourself. Clear the gating and then start selling your product. Best thing you can do there. We could help you with ungating, but without proper documentation, we're not going to be able to get it done for you. So if you know how to create your own COA or your own document, that might be viable, but it's pretty hard. Probably not going to be viable. So go get somebody who does that professionally. Nylon says, do commas in the title affect indexing at all? I don't believe so. I know you don't want to put commas in the back-end search terms because it's all one big chain. So is the title the same way? I don't think so. I think commas are totally fine in titles, as well as, although they prohibit it now, you're not supposed to, but you could do like the railroad track, which is like the button shift right above the enter button on a keyboard for most people. But yeah, none of that should affect SEO. It's completely safe. If you put a dash after the first 5 words on a title, though, it will help your canonical URL in Google. And so that's the most important thing that you do is after your first 5 words, put some sort of dash or something so that you can control the canonical URL. It's pretty minor value, but it's easy to do. Glenn says, I'm gradually putting my price up and sales are about the same. That's perfect. There's 4 things you need to do in e-commerce. Sell more products to more people more often for more money. The 4th one is the one everybody forgets about. So I do recommend you raise your prices whenever you can. I've noticed I'm now higher up on the first page. Is it possible to higher price the higher the position on the page? No, not directly correlated. Glenn, go look at your conversion rates. Maybe your conversion rate went up when you raised your price. If so, that's why you're ranking and indexing better. Leonard says, hey, Steven, I just had 20% buy box drop across all of my listings yesterday. No price change or anything to the listings, no other sellers. How could that happen? Leonard, sometimes the data is wrong. Sometimes the data is misleading. And what I would probably do if I were in your shoes is go use like a web service VPN type thing and check your item in 20 states across the country. You don't need to go 20. That's probably crazy. Let's start with like 5. And you know, if you don't want to go down that path, then just call 5 friends in other states and just ask them to look at your listing and send a screenshot. See if there's anybody that's like showing up in select geographics, or maybe you've lost buy box in the Southeast, something like that could happen. I don't know like for sure if my troubleshooting advice here will identify anything, but if you run through that, at least rule out that it's not a geo-targeting issue. And if you took it to Amazon, they won't give you any info on this one. I've taken to this one many, many times. They're clueless. They have no idea how the buy box works. Nobody at Amazon knows how the buy box works. Leonard says, how do you go about getting your Amazon clients? Any advice for someone running an Amazon PPC agency on how to get more clients? Yes, do really good work for your current clients. They will tell others. That's my best advice. The second piece of advice would be go build a bunch of content, just like I do here. Give away all of your trade secrets, and you will attract people that value what you have to say. So create a YouTube channel, create articles, blogs, start posting content, and just help people for free. And they will eventually say, take my money. So that's my best advice there. When you're first starting out, you only need 6 or 8 clients. If you're going, solo, that's all you need to have a full-time job business, doing PPC only for clients. Sonny says, hello, I have a sponsored brand video campaign running. Could I still create another video campaign just for Mother's Day targeting the same keywords that have been targeted already on the first video campaign? Yes, you can. I'm running multiple video campaigns right now. Same video, different keywords. I've also done different videos, same keywords. Any combination of that, totally kosher. Vaselie says, hey, Steven, I heard that unlike the sales coming from sponsored products ads, sales generated through video ads have no effect on organic keyword rankings. Any thoughts on this? What about sponsored brands or sponsored display ads? I actually do not know the answer to this one. I would be greatly surprised if it doesn't affect the indexing. It probably has less impact than organic sales by 20-to-1 ratio. But I would be very surprised because when you think about it, if you click on a sponsored brand video ad and go to the ASIN landing page, there's still a URL that's coded with the keyword in it. So I would suspect greatly that it does affect SEO. I wish there was a way for me to validate this one way or another. I don't even know how I would test this. We'd almost have to have like an isolated product that hasn't sold ever before, put up a video ad, make one sale, turn off the ad, and see if it indexed and not have the word present in the copy. Like that's like the sort of sophistication level we would have to do to test that. So if anybody ever does test that, please come back and post a comment on this video. It's a lot of effort to test that particular question. Daniel says, if the account in the US is suspended, is there a chance the Europe one will get suspended if they are merged at the same login? Very unlikely. Usually suspensions are country specific. And that there's no cross communication between the two. Now, there might be an exception to that with multiple account scenarios, but beyond that, policies are generally continent specific. So I doubt a suspension in one continent will suspend the others. We've even seen like you get suspended in Canada, but you're not suspended in the US. That happens too. Leonard says, I'm trying to close a variation out of stock, keep getting merchant fulfilled listings with a business price. We'll have inventory set to 0. All right, I got to think about this one. Trying to close a variation out of stock. Keep getting merchant fulfilled listings with a business price. So the inventory numbers should be shared between a business and a regular listing, but the pricing is unique between business pricing and regular pricing. So I'm not completely sure how to answer your question on this one, but if you're trying to close a variation, look up the ASIN, see how many SKUs are attached to that ASIN. Maybe there's like a secondary SKU that you're missing somehow. So just go into the search box in the inventory page and type the ASIN in. And if you have multiple SKUs, that might be your answer. Amazon fulfilled listings with a business price will remain purchasable by business customers. How can I close the listing? It shouldn't be. That should not be the case because the quantity should be the same and shared on that SKU. Because there's not like when you create a business pricing, it doesn't actually generate a new listing. It's just a pricing discount for business buyers. So I'm not really sure how to help you on that one, Leonard. Kalimba says, what does it mean when an FBA order comes through a sales channel non-Amazon? So that means like an eBay order or another order that comes through that you've processed through a multi-channel fulfillment order. And then the order is in the system. So for example, if you use like Sellbrite or ShipStation to connect your data between portals, they can auto-populate in the system. Leonard says, for returns, how does Amazon go about determining the return status if the customer is damaged or shipping damaged? Seems pretty random to how they allocate it. Yes, it is pretty random. But I would say that even if it is damaged by the customer or by the shipping method, you should still try and get reimbursement. The shipping method damage, however, is reimbursable 100% of the time by Amazon. The customer damage part, though, is not necessarily, unfortunately. Nylon says, how do you report a listing that's using reviews for a totally different product? So it's a violation report. I do have a video on this. Just type into Google, My Amazon Guy report a violation. You should see 1 or 2 of my videos on that subject. Give that a whirl. It's a very much a black hole vacuum, black box where you may never hear back if it works. So just file that ticket a couple of times. I would also contact customer support from the consumer side and flag it, you'll probably have faster turnaround results by reporting it as a consumer than a seller, believe it or not. Jas C says, "Hi, have a high volume ASIN at risk of suspension due to used complaints. For risk mitigation, want to do a quantity variation with a new listing. Should I create a new listing as a child variation or separate?" So you're probably going to have a problem if you put it as a variation because it's not different enough, would be my suspicion. So I would try and put it as a separate listing unless you can like somehow come up with the variation. But like, what are you going to variation it? Like color, size, style. I mean, you're going to have challenges with that one. So that's why I'm thinking new listings probably the way to go if you're basically recreating the same listing. Sonny says, "Hi, Stephen. How bad is the impact from the NCX rate on a listing? Is there a said percentage that can be considered as bad? Sometimes customers just use any excuse to return items for free." You are absolutely correct on that. This happens all the time. Some categories it's much worse in. Amazon's system is smart enough to have a different percentage based on the NCX, depending on the category. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my voice of the customer here. Let's see if I can show this. So here we go. All right. So in here, anything that's in the very poor section is a problem. So right now I'm lucky and I don't have anything in very poor. I do have 5 in the fair section. And so like, shipping decanters, very common to have damages with those because of the glass components, stuff like that. And on occasion, Amazon will ship your stuff out in a padded envelope instead of a box, which is not your fault, which is stupid that Amazon does that. But like when I launched my hot sauce, right? Like I had 1,000 of these on order. I paid Amazon to do the prep work, and they freaking ship them out in padded envelopes. They're 4-pound glass bottles. It makes no freaking sense, but that's what Amazon does. So I would say the percentages here, if you have something that's in the 5% or greater, you're probably in the very poor section. And that's going to cause the listing to get yanked. The first time it happens, you can just hit the relist button and it's fine. The second time it happens, you actually have to hit like resolve issue and give a plan. And then it's usually just goes right through and the robots put it back up. The third time it happens though, on the same ASIN, you have to get a human review. Your listing will be down for at least a week typically. William says, "What is up with the music feel in the stripper club?" All right. So I need to get a new intro done, William. So if you know how to do video editing, happily pay you to make me a new intro. Currently hiring for a video editor, also hiring for many other roles. Anybody in the United States that wants to be a main point of contact doing account management, send your resume to jobs@myamazonguy.com. Anybody international, if you're a specialist designer, video editor, content writer, or advertising guru, will also have jobs for you. Send your resume to recruiting@myamazonguy.com. Leonard says, "Would you add different products or variations of the same product to the same sponsored product ad campaign? If so, what instances?" This is a highly debatable subject. There's no right or wrong answer to this particular question. In general, I typically would have less products in the same campaigns or same ad groups. Keyword isolation is really hot right now. But if the items, maybe we have like a generic campaign where it's like generic keywords and you're not sure which item is going to perform the best, that's when I would have multiple SKUs in the ad groups to see which one will perform the best. But once you know the answer to that, you generally want to pull them out and separate them out because each variation could have better velocities depending on the color and all the things that are involved with that. Ryan says, "Do sponsored brand attributions help with keyword ranking for the purchased product, or does it only help the brand in general?" So I think we kind of answered this one a little bit earlier. I'm wondering if somebody's got some data on this one, but I strongly suspect that sponsored brands do help with keyword ranking. But we don't know by how much. The reason I suspect it helps is because the keyword still shows up in the URL. Nylon says, is it best to use the most relevant keywords in a title or use the highest volume keywords even when they may not be the most relevant? I would probably do a mix on this one, a healthy mix, because you're looking for relevancy. You need to convert them. If they're not as relevant, they're not going to convert, which means your rankings are going to be worse. So do a healthy mix on that one, Nylon. R. Glasser says, hi, Stephen, how do the software companies estimate search volume for keywords if Amazon has not given that out to anyone? That is a good question. That is a question for Helium 10, Zon Guru, Jungle Scout. I actually do not know the answer. It could be that they're estimating these numbers, or there's maybe some API data that they're extrapolating from, but I do not know the answer to that one. Ryan says, what changes have you noticed with the new inventory limits this week? Our IPI dropped 5 points. At the same time, our limit dropped 18 percentage points. Can we assume that increasing the IPI will increase the limit? Nobody knows the answer to this, Ryan. It's too new. Nobody knows for sure. I would say that based on my own experience, IPI has nothing to do with it. They have some sort of alternative algorithm that they're testing. And I would not be surprised if they send an update by next week on it, because there's been so many challenges with that situation. All right, lost my place here. Here we go. Found you. R. Glasser, doesn't Amazon account for misspellings? Why should we put them in our back end? Sometimes having that exact match can be very beneficial. And so from my experience, putting misspellings in the back end does have a direct correlation on results for indexing. So I generally do recommend it. You are correct. Amazon does account for misspellings, but sometimes the robots are too dumb to pick up on it. So by forcing it into the system, it triggers the indexing a lot faster. So it's about speed. The more mature your listing is, you may or may not need it, but I would still recommend it. David says, when adding a new product to Amazon, they ask for required fields in the jewelry category. They do not apply to my item. What do I pick? Sometimes you can't pick not applicable. Maybe switch your template and do a full template upload. That's probably what I would do, David. Fail that. Just put in anything that could maybe be relevant. But I think using the right template is probably the way to go. Ryan says, rest of search ad placement converts well for us, but without its own bid modifier. Is there any way to skew impressions towards rest of search? There is not, unfortunately. David says, I have brand registry now, thanks to you. Very welcome, David. When adding a product, I no longer have to add a UPC. Amazon allows me to add a product and they create the product ID. Is this safe? It's safe. You probably have a UPC exemption, but I don't recommend it because the data is way easier to control if you have your own UPC loaded. And so I've seen way more challenges to catalog management when the UPC is not present. So I highly recommend that. We are almost at a record number of viewers today. If you want to help us reach a new record today, maybe ping somebody at your office or friend or email them and say, hey, come join the My Amazon Guys show. It's live right now. See if you can send an invite. Let's see if we can break the record today. Need your help to do that. Sarah says, hello, thank you for being here. Do you know if terms like limited or seasonal are allowed to be used in product titles? I know that certain terms are prohibited. Gift, seasonality is very tricky right now. It's fine to have probably seasonal, but I wouldn't put limited. I think limited's too tricky. Obviously, holidays are totally kosher. You can say like Mother's Day, stuff like that. But I think the word limited is questionable. I actually have an item that has the word limited in the title, and I haven't had any problems, though. The word limited, though, is literally part of the product. It's called a limited edition wine glass. It's a discontinued item for me. I have 20 left at my house, but I get a sale once a month, and I go throw it in the mailbox. All right. William says, my product is similar to yours. Same item with lots of differentiators. How do you deal with sellers trying to copy the words in your product? I don't. I ignore them all. I'm very, very public with my own products. And so I do not expect ever to have my products exist in the future. I pretty much assume that they all have a timetable for death, if you will. Right now, my social distancing wine glass that you guys have seen me put in a bunch of video content is still banned from ads and is probably on its deathbed. for various reasons. So that can definitely happen a lot of the time. But like I recently launched a new product, and so this Age of Sage product right here is a Mother's Day kit. We launched it last week. I'm almost stocking out of it. Only got 10 left right now. I've been rushing more in via UPS and LTL. The product launch has gone very well. So if you haven't ordered your Mother's Day gift yet in the United States, check this out. I talked to a dude yesterday. He said black on photos is performing really, really well for him. So I actually redid some of my imagery and loaded it this morning with a black feel on some of them. Apparently it's softer on the eyes and has a higher conversion rate. So there's your random tip of the day right there. But in any case, when somebody's selling similar products, I usually ignore the competition. I usually try and make my product as high quality as possible. So one of the things I've done here is this box is really incredible. It's a really great box, and it's beautiful. My wife helped design the logo. My name of my daughter is Sage. And so like I'm making brand names after my kids, and it's totally viable. So in my opinion, William, just ignore the competition. Don't worry about it. Now, if somebody rips off your actual design, right? Like you can file copyright infringement claims against them and get them to take it down. So like some of my shark items, my shark wine glasses. So let's go over to my brand store here. This happens all the time. And in here, like my mama shark. So like they took my actual shark design and ripped it off. That's not cool. You can report them for copyright infringements. It's tricky to get it to go through though. But if somebody uses the exact phrase "Mama Shark needs a drink due to do," there's nothing you can do about that whatsoever. It's totally free reign. You can't copyright the phrase, right? So hopefully that's helpful. All right, Andrew says, how do you decide on advertising budget when launching? I usually go $2,000. I'll know by $2,000 whether the product is going to work or not. So that's generally what I do. If the item has higher margins, I'll spend more money. But generally $2,000 is enough to get it off the ground. Sarah says, will you describe your approach strategy for PPC and holidays? Example, Mother's Day, but the generic terms are so competitive. They are, but they're still effective in many products. So right now, I think I'm spending $1,000 a day on the term Mother's Day gift. And like the cost per click went up in the last 72 hours from like $1.20 to $2.20. And that's because that's when all the conversions are coming. Like just all of a sudden we got everybody shopping for Mother's Day right now. And so there's a really good strike zone on taking advantage of it. The other thing too is I really want my product to rank for Mother's Day keywords. And if you end up organically ranking for a Mother's Day keyword, no matter how much you spend on PPC, it's going to be a really, really important thing. So I have actually not checked my keyword rankings on this listing. It's a fairly new listing. Let's see how my indexing is doing. This listing's existed for 7 days. And I've indexed for 845 keywords. I'm advertising on 1,200 keywords. And so I usually like to shoot for 1,000 keywords by day 30, and it's only day 7. So I'm indexed very, very well. If we scroll down to see kind of what we're indexed on, I randomly got 2 bath bombs, rank organic 1. Mother's Day wine glass, though, check this out, rank 2 for that. So that's very, very good. Now, when we check the actual organic results, notice how I didn't see it. That's very common with new products for them to fluctuate in the rankings. And so I don't even think I'm on page 1 with this right now. Let's try this again. So Control F, Sage. Yeah, so I'm not even on page 1, even though 3 says I'm in rank 2. So very, very common. So, but like I'm trying to chase a bunch of these keywords like Mother's Day spa set. That was another one. Wine soap, gift set, lots and lots of good things that I'm chasing. So generally speaking, if you spend lots of money on PPC when you first launch a product, especially as it relates to a particular holiday, you'll have a lot of good success with this. So I've been very much trying to chase a lot of these things. Lucho, good to see you again. Hello, Steven. So nice to be here. First question. I have a seasonal product that is not even available for fulfilled by merchant between April to October. Should I close the ASIN and reopen it? I would go ahead and close it, especially since it can't be purchased. I'm guessing you have a meltable product, maybe a chocolate or something. And so I would go ahead and close the listing, especially if you can't ship it during those time periods. Detto, how important is social media presence? Do you drive traffic to your own website or your own Amazon listing? So if I was trying to build my own brand as my main thing, I would definitely be positioning traffic to both my website and Amazon. And sometimes I might even push them from my website to Amazon to gain additional keyword rankings. Now, I'm the Amazon guy. I'm biased. I'm going to always say go Amazon. And I think it's extremely valuable. But what I would say, though, is, if you don't build a community, you're inevitably going to lose to the Chinese who are going to sell direct to consumer. So it behooves you to have your social presence going. At bare minimum, make some social posts for your company. And it's very easy to make social posts, but you should have an Instagram and all that common stuff going as well. But if you don't actually have any good content, it's going to be irrelevant. So I'm gonna share my screen here. So like social posts, cross promoting things, right? So like I've got my Momster brand cross promoting my Age of Sage Mother's Day stuff. I wish that maybe I need to put that only on Age of Sage, but you can see there's just a lot of things that we can do. A lot of social posts that can be made with doing this, and so there's just a great way to get things going. So I highly recommend that at the bare minimum. Our glosser says, one of my products has been blocked because of poor customer feedback. Until now, there's never been any issues in the account health. It seems they are flagging reviews collected over the last year. They're doing an investigation. Anything to know about this? Anything I can do? Probably not. Probably nothing you can do. What I would say is just ask for reinstatement if it's currently down, and just basically say, hey, I'm compliant with the rules. Here's what we've seen. You might have to give a plan of action, that sort of thing, but probably nothing proactive unless they physically take down the list and got to wait for the review. Triffinlin says, have you seen customer engagement link in Seller Central under the brands tab? I have. Sounds like email sequences will be coming to Amazon. Thoughts? So it's an opt-in program. I haven't done a video on it yet because it's in such a beta. I haven't actually been able to test it yet. Not very many accounts have access to it, but yes, you're going to be able to create client communication with your customers that opt in. One of my questions is how do customers opt in? I don't even know the answer to that one yet. Majid says, hey, Steve, what is the best strategy to liquefy the inventory? How to do it without PPC? I'll tell you this, lower the price is usually the best option. However, removal orders and giving the inventory away is probably the correct move. Most of the time, Amazon's terrible for liquefying inventory. Brett says, when I created my first FBA listing, it showed as FBM. I was able to modify it, edit, choose, add another condition. This created a second listing that looked correct, but didn't offer the offer launch date or launch date, and it's been a few weeks. Have I lost my honeymoon period? As long as you don't have a single sale on the item, the honeymoon period has not started, according to other experts. So I think you're safe on that. Generally speaking, I don't like to offer in another condition options. I usually just like to add the ASIN back to the account and add a suffix like -FBA or -FBM. I do have a video on duplicating products. If you just type in duplicate my Amazon guy into Google, you'll probably find it. Glenn says, if the Canadian infringers you had would have listed your brand name first, could they have blocked you? I'm not an infringer. I'm just asking for a new product I'm launching soon. So the ASIN is the same in Canada and US in my instance. Maybe I could pull up one of these live and see if I can demonstrate that. So let's go, we'll share screen here. So here is one of my listings. I have removed the infringers from this particular product, but let's see if we can find one where they haven't been removed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for multiple sellers. May not be able to do this fast. Let's try this one. So nope, no hijacker there. Let's just check a couple more of these. It's looking like to me most of the hijackers might be gone, which is good. It's been going pretty well this week. We've been removing them like crazy. But in any case, what would happen is you see like sold by a Chinese seller in the section over here. And so, I do list my brand name usually towards the end of my titles, but if they had listed my brand name or made a different thing, yeah, we could totally get them down. Now, if somebody lists your product and it's not on an ASIN that you approved, you can also report the ASIN itself and get the ASIN taken down, no problem. Matt says, just an update after 24 support tickets to brand registry support. Finally got someone who connected my brand with Seller Central. This was UK. Matt, I'm so glad to hear that. I do recall you having some struggles with that. It takes some squeaky wheel to get the oil on that one for sure. Trifflin says, have you seen customer engagement link? Yes, we have. I think we've skipped that one. My Prime badge is gone, even though it's Prime. Amazon says they do this sometimes. Any guidance on this? First thing I'd say, log into a Prime account, and you may not have the Prime badge gone after all. You just may not be seeing it because you're in your business account instead of a Prime account, customer account. 9 out of 10 times, that's actually the answer to that question. If they did remove it and it is at FBA, that would be highly unusual. You're welcome to send me your ASIN. I'm happy to take a look at it. Jade20 says, do you mean that to do brand registry in Canada, you need a Canadian trademark? No, you can use the US trademark to get brand registry anywhere with Amazon. That's not the problem. But if you want to remove hijackers, specifically infringing sellers, you do need the trademark in the country to get them removed. Joshua says, I'm a grocery seller on Amazon. I'm starting a brand. I'm sourcing from South America. How much money should I expect to spend with 9 SKUs for advertising monthly? 11% tacos. So if you want to gross $100,000, spend $11,000 on ads. Now, grocery category is a lower margin business. You may have to spend less to make a profit, but on average, regardless of your category, 11% of gross sales should be spent on ads. No cap today, Steve. Aha, you look handsome in a cap. All right, we'll throw the hat on. I thought my hair looked okay today, but we'll throw the old hat on since I got the comment. All right, Ryan says, do you pick your best converting variation for running ad campaigns despite your current struggles, or do you run all variations at the same time? I am in the business of making money, Ryan. So whatever makes money is what I do. And sometimes certain products just convert really well, regardless of the keywords. And so I will advertise them, whatever works. I run it by ACOS. Now, if I have a variation that I think is underperforming, maybe I'll overspend on it to see if I can get it going. Maybe I can try and get organic rank, whatever it might be. But it's a big mixed bag on that one. Denise says, do you ever ship to yourself and combine products at home? I'm worried about giving away my product idea before I get established. So kitting would be probably something you're up to, Denise. I think kitting can be very beneficial, especially as you're starting to get, let's say you're a newer seller on Amazon. You could pay a warehouse $1, $1.50, sometimes even $2 to build a kit and ship it out. That can be cost prohibitive. So you might do the work yourself. You could definitely do some kitting. No problem there. But giving away your product idea before you get established, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I would just start selling, do whatever you can to get selling. But if you aren't ready to sell it, then obviously you don't go live. You need to have a trademark, you need a brand, you need a storefront, you need A+ content, you need to optimize everything. Try and go live with all of that done first. William says, what is your suggested launching ACOS target? I would recommend break even or worse at launch. So 50% ACOS month one's totally fine. Try and massage that down to 40%, then 30, and then maintain it wherever you're looking for. Tacos is another way to look at this. Usually tacos is a little bit better than ACOS for this conversation. So that is your ad spend against your total revenue. And on launch month one, 100% on ACOS would be okay, or 100% tacos, literally putting every dime back into advertising just to get the product established. Month 2, 50%, month 3, 30%, and then you're trying to work your way down to 11% tacos over time. Glenn says, restocking my product. I did keep pressing the submit button the last 3 times and that worked, but now I get the blank page, so I'm really stuck. They might have patched it in the last 24 hours. I don't know. But yeah, the submit the button multiple times worked for me even yesterday. Sharik says, I have 3 products in 3 different categories with the same brand name. If I will do trademark registration in one category, will I be able to access brand registry tools like video, A+ content, and Vine in the other 2 product categories? Most likely, yes. The one exception to this, if you have a brand name that somebody else has already brand registered in another category, then the answer is likely no. But my brand Momster, I was able to get A+ content in many, many categories. Wine glasses, scarves, and clothing, never had a problem. And so I would say it's pretty likely you'll be okay. Rob says, I'd love to hear more about your trademark service. Who is the final trademark hosted with? What is the success rate? So we use an attorney. We file the trademark under you, whether you're in the United States or in Canada or any other country. We'll file it under you. And you own the trademark permanently. We get the trademark to you in less than 1 business day. And it's a great service. It's something that we've done more than 300 times. And it's a really great one. And it looks like my Canadian trademark service is up and running already. Somebody did that live while we're on the air today. Thank you, Tom. So here you can see we have a Canadian trademark right here, $850. We do charge a little bit more for the Canadian fees. And then United States trademark, $775. There's a lot of video content around this. I'll put the link to this in the chat. And basically, after you order it, we'll give you a brand registry guide on how to get through every brand registry technical problem known to man. And then following that, you'll have your brand registry in under 7 days. Success rates, 98% on the trademarks. Very, very high success rate. If we file a trademark for you and it doesn't go through for any reason, we will waive $500 off a second trademark and try and get you a second one to go through. Even if the USPTO declines the trademark, though, you will still get access to A+ content and brand registry for at least 6 months. All right. Thoughts on trademarking something generic and then using it for multiple brands? This is a great idea, Rob. This is something I highly recommend people do. Thirsty might be generic name, and then there's Thirsty wine glasses, Thirsty baby bottles. So yes, that is a great idea. Now, you don't want to have now obviously the brand name Thirsty doesn't work because it's too descriptive, most likely. But it's very advantageous to have a generic brand name and then lots of sub brands. So that's generally what I recommend doing. You could also start many products under the generic brand name and then push them into the secondary brand names over time. Jay says, hi, Steve. With new storage type limits, I can see there are 2 types of limits, standard and oversized. Can you please tell the difference? Great question. So an item like this would be standard size. You could see standard sizes in many shapes. You could see anything. Here's my Age of Sage box, by the way. And so this is even standard size itself. But something like this would be oversized because it's greater than, I don't know exactly what the inches, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's either 16, it might be 12. But there's large standard size and then there's like oversized. Oversized is when it's gigantic. Anything that's really large would be oversized. There is some help files that give the actual specifics on sizing. And I have a video on this, but I don't remember the exact details off the top of my head. I'll see if I can find that video for you later, Jay. Jay says showing 1,000 units of both. So we can send 2,000 units or what? You can send 1,000 of standard and 1,000 of oversized. Adil says, how to solve BSR issue. My couple of products aren't ranked. Done browse node, but also no change. So 2 things to troubleshoot here. One, you want to make sure the category node ID is filled in. So let me open up my account. I'll go to one of my items and I'll explain and demonstrate this for you. So here we go. So in the back end, if you go to the offer section, you can scroll down and see what's in the offer section. Sometimes the category note is in various locations. Let's see. So it looks like in my particular item, it's on the vital info tab, and you can see the subcategory right here. I've got sets and kits. And so if this is blank, you won't have a BSR. Now, even if this is filled in, you may have a different BSR blank bug. And if that's the case, you may not have any. So if you don't have any sales on the item, that could be the problem too. You do need to have sales on an item to have a BSR. But if both of those are not your issue, then I recommend you ticketing it. And also you may want to do a full template upload with a UPC. If one of those 3 things don't work, you'll need to ticket Amazon until they correct the issue. Jade says, do you think I should go for a new profitable product I found but have an active patent, although a lot of other sellers are selling it on Amazon? Risky with patents. I have been burned by 1 or 2 myself. I've seen at least 10 clients be burned by patents over time. So my advice to you is proceed with caution because you don't know what the patent owner will do. They could come after you, right? So I would recommend reading the patent very carefully. See if you can find a way around the patent and maybe file your own, but proceed with caution. Be very, very careful with that. Jeff says, when you or your clients source from China, do you make regular use of NNN agreements? So My sourcing knowledge is probably pretty basic. I bet you one of our viewers today has better sourcing knowledge than me. I generally, well, my kid is knocking on my window outside. That threw me off. Well, hello there. That's Sage. It's her birthday today. She's 2 years old. If you want to say happy birthday to Sage, add that to the comment section. I'll let her know. Bought her some balloons today. With sourcing, I actually don't even know what an NNN agreement is. So anybody that wants to put in information about that, I'm Googling it right now. It says non-disclosure agreement. All right. So even if you have agreements signed with the Chinese, I don't think they'll honor them, to be honest, is the truth of the matter. So, you get what you pay for. So if you pay them extra, then they may give you stuff like that. All right, I'm going to flip over the webcam here. So there's my wife and 2-year-old in my backyard right there. Happy birthday, Sage. Hello. She's such a cutie. I love her dearly. Work interruptions like that, especially on live streaming, gotta love it. So back to Chinese negotiations. So my advice to you is no matter what you have on paper, the Chinese are going to do whatever they can to put food on the table. It's a shark eat shark world. There's massive bribery in China. And so you're going to have some challenges no matter what you do. So, if you want to try and get a non-disclosure agreement in place, by all means, go ahead. I just wouldn't put a lot of weight behind it. Although I do remember seeing a demonstration. It comes to mind right now. If you have Chinese law cited in your agreements, you're going to be way better off. So they know you have teeth in the local statutes. Highly recommend that if you have a big agreement. Roland says, is it possible to create a case pack with multiple SKUs? Yes, but here's the best advice I'll give you, Roland. Do not expect Amazon to case pack it for you. You need to box it yourself before it gets to Amazon. If you fail to do that, they will mess it up. Denise says, in Seller Central, I see US orders and Canada orders. I'm a US seller, but don't recall ever signing up for Canada. Is it automatically allowed? So the way that the accounts are created these days, it's a North America account, and you don't have to sell in Canada, but I do recommend loading your data to Canada. We've covered this topic a bunch, and that's because hijackers are showing up in Canada. You need to be present to prevent them from messing up your data. Tanda says, what field will show count pack of in bold on search page? This is an additional field other than unit count. Which backend field makes it occur? So that is in the vital info tab, and it's specific to some categories. Not everybody will have that. Majid says, Steve, changing list price too frequently will mess up with A9. What do you suggest to change price too frequently to find the best price point? So I would say 5 to 10% price changes at max over the course of 5 to 7 days. If you change more than that, you may have some problems with buy box as well. Harris says, great to see you again. Hit that thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thank you. Nauman says, what are the cons of launching a private label as FBM except shipping at own? And that's because you don't have Prime. That's the big con. And so when I launched my Age of Sage project this past week, I spent like $2,000 on advertising my FBM listing, and nobody, like basically nobody, had like 15 sales. It was terrible. The moment my items checked into FBA, I started selling 50 units a day, and it just massively took off. So like that is how much of an impact you can have from having FBA. So it's Prime is extremely, extremely important. Alex says, hi, is there a certain amount of listings that one specific Seller Central account that rank on page 1 for, or does Amazon not like to show too many listings from one seller on page 1? They are going to show whatever converts, whatever makes Amazon money. Google made a policy change a couple of years ago in their own algorithm where they made it so that it capped at 4 on page 1 with diminishing returns after slot 2. So I don't know what Amazon's algorithm is officially on this question, but I would say you can easily get 2 to 4 of your listings on page 1 for any search term. Cable says, hello, Steven. I want to trademark my brand name. Just did a test search. I realized somebody already trademarked with a very similar brand name as mine, only a single character difference. Mine with 2 O's and theirs with 1 O. Is it worth filing for the trademark? Do you think there's any chance for me to get approved, or should I create a new brand name? Cable, I would say this is dependent on the category. So if their trademark is in the same category, you're probably going to get rejected. But if it's in a different category, you'll probably get it to go through. And they would, but if it's in the same category, I would change his brand name for sure. New Chapter says, hi, Steve. Hi to you back. Hera says, how will sellers be able to compete with Chinese manufacturing and suppliers? They're taking over Amazon. Amazon even made a Seller Central in Chinese to encourage them to sell. So if you haven't watched the South Park episode on China and you don't mind the absurdity of South Park, I highly recommend you watch it for product research purposes, because everybody is selling out to China right now. It's a massive problem. Even our government at the United States is selling out to China. So you're going to have some challenges with this. I'm very vocal about how I see China going direct to consumer for the first time. It is, and I'm really big on inevitability arguments. If something is inevitable, you need to solve for it before it impacts you. So right now, with the Chinese going direct to consumer for the first time, they're putting massive price pressures. If you don't pull your manufacturing out of China, eventually the Chinese are going to beat you, because they are going to beat you on price. You need to build a community. You need to build a massive community of people to beat price wars. So that's my best advice that I'm giving you. It is inevitable that more Chinese sellers are going to come out of the woodwork. So you got the Chinese coming in from the left, hurting you on price. You got aggregators buying up Amazon brands coming in from the right, which increases your complexities for your competition. And then you got Amazon changing policies and pushing down. So you as the Amazon seller, it can feel a little crowded right now. Never been a better time to sell on Amazon, but it's never been harder at the same time. Leonard says, thanks for the help, Stephen. Really appreciate it. You're very welcome. Glenn says, message to Jeff Bezos if he's watching. Please get the product reviews sorted out. All of my competitors have fake reviews. Do we have to do the same? A 4-star can't compete with a 5-star. The Amazon average is 4.1 stars across listings. They know they have a fake review problem. There's a really good NBC story that they did, CNBC, I believe, about 6 months ago. And I did cover that story. And they've been cleaning up the marketplace. But if you see fake reviews and you can prove it, report those ASINs. New Chapter says, hi, Stephen. I have an automated email from Helium 10 for customers day 5 after product is delivered to customers. However, Amazon is sending an email the next day the product is ordered. Is that okay? It is, but limit your communication to your buyers to 1 per order. And be careful on how you ask for reviews. The policies have really changed over the last year. It's been a lot harder. At this point, I think 60% of people have opted out of seller emails. It's too inundated. People are tired of getting them. So it's really not going to be very helpful. I do not focus on review generation strategies right now. Case in point, just launched Age of Sage, 1 review on the listing, selling 50 units a day. You do not have to have reviews to launch new products, in my opinion. Glenn says, have sea freight costs from China come down? No. Yesterday, we had Thrasio on our podcast. Really big interview with the guy in charge of their entire supply chain. Mind you, these guys are a multi-billion-dollar company at this point. And they told us on yesterday's podcast that costs are not going to come down this year at all. So sorry to hear that, but be prepared for high costs this year. Daniel says, what is the landed cost of your Mother's Day present? So I'm not going to go into that kind of detail on a live podcast, but suffice it to say, I am worried about making a profit on my Age of Sage product this year because many of my items are all sourced from local U.S. partners. And that's become a challenge for profit. But I would say it's possible to make it happen. Sarah says, so gift is allowed in the product title? No, gifts are, but gift is not. I know it's a little delineated there. And so I currently have the word gifts in my title, and it's high risky. I will be paying close attention. If I see my sales go off the rocker, I will pull that word out. Steve says, I do wholesale on NFL licensed goods. Amazon just signed a 10-year contract with the NFL. Amazon now told me that I cannot sell as new, only collectible like new, unless I have permission from the NFL. So as long as you have the document from the NFL, you should be okay. Amazon's probably going to play hardball with you, though. So just be prepared for that. But yes, I think you'll still be okay to sell as long as you can prove you have that letter from the NFL. William says, looking forward to be a customer of your brand registry service. You're very welcome. Anybody that needs a trademark, check us out at myamazonguy.com. Leonard says, do you have any good FF you would recommend? So hard to find a decent one. Freight forwarder, I believe you mean. There are 3 freight forwarders that we tend to recommend. And let me see if I can find them. I'll put it in. Nope, can't find them. Sorry about that, Leonard. But basically, there's no good ones right now. They're all inundated. So what I recommend is get price quotes directly one-to-one. DK Kim says, hi, Steven. It's not been 30 days yet for the price drop on your Amazon gift set. How are you able to get the slash on my $49 price point? So I was able to, because I sold 20 units at $50. I then lowered my price down to 40, and I got a nice lowest price in 30 days badge. I've since raised my price to 45, and I lost that badge, but I still have a list price strike through, and that's because I have physically sold at $50. Let's see what it looks like in the search results. I'm curious. Let's see. Well, that's weird. Not seeing my ASIN. There we are. There we go. So I lost my strike through in the search results, though, which kind of stinks. I am ranked 55 in skincare sets so far. I do hope to break into the top 10 by next week. That's my goal. But you don't have to have it for 30 days to get the strike through. You just need to have physical sales on it to make it happen. What's your Mother's Day item selling? Well, we've been talking a little bit about it today. This is what we're selling right now. So it's everything that's included in this kit: 2 soap bars, raspberry, vanilla, wildflowers. Got some summer medley lotion and a card all in one box. And so hopefully you guys check that out. Glenn says, does deleting old products I no longer stock or sell help your point score restorage? A lot of people think the answer to that question is yes, Glenn. I'm unconvinced that is the case. At the very least, close the listings if you're no longer going to sell them, but I don't think you need to delete them. Rob says, you've mentioned closing a listing a number of times. What's the difference between closing a listing and deleting a listing? How do you do each? Let's go ahead and demonstrate that right now. So screen sharing, here we go. So in the back end, if you see in the drop down on the right-hand side, you can see close listing right here and delete. Closing a listing will just simply close it. Probably need a better way to define it. It will still keep your data, but it will remove it from being purchasable. If you delete it, it will remove it from Amazon entirely. All of your data will wipe. That's the difference between the two, and you just got to hit the option on the drop down depending on which one you want to use, Rob. Glenn says, have returns generally increased over last year? Have they increased a lot compared to 4 years ago? I don't have data on this one, but I think return rates can be anywhere from 4 to 14% from my experience, depending on your category. Clothing, going to be a lot higher return rates on that category. Masomi says, hi, Steve. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Lucho, I just did a bunch of removals since in the past having high stock would help me win buy box. However, I'm not sure, pretty sure I'm being punished for high inventory. Can I resend inventory gradually as it sells? Usually, but if you do a removal order, they will sometimes penalize you to prevent you from sending in new inventory that you have removed, however. Richard says, what will happen to my stock on Amazon if I change my brand name? Nothing. It'll stay the same, no problem there. We do have an Amazon brand name policy change service, and that's because we've been having so many people ask for it. We did a video with Adam Heist about changing his brand name, and ever since then we've been inundated with requests to do the same thing. So we created this service. It's actually pretty expensive. It's $1,000 to get 10 ASINs changed, but it takes a lot of work to do it. Very, very tricky. So if you need any help with changing your brand name, check us out for that. Jody says, if competitors run a targeted campaign on my ASIN, do they benefit from my campaign spend? Targeted campaign on my ASIN. So I'm trying to wrap my head around this question. So if somebody's spending ads on your ASIN, you are not penalized or benefited at all. Won't matter one way or another. I think I answered your question correctly. Masomi says, is it true that the cost of goods have gone up? Yes. We are in hyperinflation right now. Nobody's actually calling it that. Obviously, we're not at the same like hyper monetary inflation that we're seeing in like Venezuela or Libya or anything like that. But we're definitely seeing cost of goods go up 15, 20% every few months right now. Just take lumber, for example. That's spiked 2x. It's been crazy to see what's happened. So yes, cost of goods are very much up right now. If you were to lock in an annual contract right now, it'd be very beneficial to keep your costs down. Lungo says, hi, Stephen. What do you suggest to launch your product with a variation or 2 different separate listings? Products differ only in color. Parentage, good. You want to always parent things together unless both products are selling well on their own. Then I would break them out of parentage because then you show up in more in search results. Sharik says, Stephen, great show. Thanks for answering my question. You're very welcome. Tim says, what are the 3 most important lessons from your failed products? 1, never trust Amazon to do your shipping. If you pay them to do the prep work, they're going to ship your stuff in padded envelopes if they can, even if it means all of your items are destroyed. That's the most important lesson I've ever learned. So never trust Amazon. Number 2, choose the right product and buy minimum order quantities. It'd be better to stock out and have to reorder than to overstock and have your funds tied up in a losing dog product. And number 3, diversify your portfolio. You can still launch a brand and, let's say you got a skincare brand, you got different types of skincare products. We've officially hit our #1 record for most people watching live with us today. So thank you for being part of our channel's growth. Thank you very much for that. Don't forget to hit that like button for viewing us today. And then finally, I would say just get started would be my final lesson. Literally just get started. If you just get going with your Amazon products and iterate 14% at a time, you will find a winner finally on occasion. 1 out of 3 products. Let's see if I can do my numbers right here. Let's see. I'm a Boy Scout, so I can do this, right? I physically Eagle Scout. So out of 3 products that launch, 1 will be a devastating failure. The second will probably break even, and the third will be the winner. So always be launching products in sets of 3. Andre says, hello, Stephen. What would be the reason of losing the buy box when I'm the only seller of my private label product? How would that impact sales? Currently at 71%. We covered this earlier today. I think there might be some data issues that have no actual correspondence. There also might be some geo-targeting constraints. Go look at your product in 5 different states, have 5 different friends send you a screenshot of what your product looks like. If you can't physically find yourself losing the buy box, it might just be a data issue. Basil Lee says, a black hat competitor hired someone to upvote a 1-star review on our listing by hitting helpful button. It now appears on the top. How to deal with this tactic? Report it as a violation and state everything that you know. If you know which competitor it is, try and throw them under the bus. This is a very difficult one, very highly unlikely you're going to get that resolved. Unfortunately, this is a really terrible thing about being an Amazon seller right now, Black Hat. Anthony says, I read that plastic and bioplastic products sold in California may not be labeled as biodegradable. That is correct. My listing is labeled with that word, but have not been yanked while others have. Why is this? You haven't been caught yet, Anthony. Remove that phrase as quickly as possible because it'll be a permanent ban, unfixable. I've been through this before. Definitely remove the phrase. R. Glasser says, I saw you once removed Traffic Titan in SellerSEO. Why is that? Do you still recommend? I actually don't even remember Traffic Titan, to be honest. So I'm not sure I ever referenced them. Thank you for all the happy birthday wishes for my daughter, Sage. I really appreciate it. Wow, you guys are really great. A lot of these. Check this out, everybody there. All right. So Ferminator says, hey, Stephen, I have added a new variation to my bestseller. How can I tell how many ratings each of my new variations has without breaking the parent-child relationship? There is a tool for this. Bagels.io might be the right tool. I can't remember for sure. I know that Bagels.io does answered questions, but there should be a way to export the reviews based on the SKU. ZonGuru might also be able to do this, but I'm pretty confident it's a pretty common tool thing. So many tools might be able to do that. Ryan says, any chance you know how to change an ASIN's UPC while Amazon has stock? I do. It's a little bit difficult. You have to provide them the GS1 certificate and request that they change it. Generally speaking, this is not a technique that's often needed. So only do it if you're, forced to, basically. Jade20 says, can I use the same UPC from a deleted product to a new product in a different category? Technically, yes, but it'll attach all of the former reviews to the new listing. And maybe you want that. Maybe that's why you're resurrecting the UPC. Amazon doesn't necessarily like it, but yes, it can be done. I've never seen anybody get in trouble for it. Thomas says, applied to U.S. brand registry via IP Accelerator, have used the serial number to enroll. However, applied and enrolled for a U.S. brand registry with IP Accelerator. They asked to supply a verification code. The ID comes up with an error. This is not a valid case for our business. Unfortunately, Thomas, since you used the IP Accelerator, you need to go through the lawyer that you used. If you went through us, we would be able to help you troubleshoot this and get it fixed. So sorry, I can't help you further on that one. You got to go directly through the guy that sold it to you. Jade says, any suggestions to source from countries or websites other than Alibaba? So I am not the sourcing experts. I'm the marketing expert. So this is not necessarily something I'm a 10 out of 10 on, but I would say I'm a really big fan of the Yeti product. David Applegate came on our podcast. He was a fantastic interview, and Import Yeti is the website. I would recommend highly checking them out. If you ask any questions about how to use Import Yeti on this video, I will get David Applegate to personally answer you. So feel free to leave a comment on this. Even if you're watching on the replay, he'll come back. He's a really good guy. Anthony says, if you played Magnus Carlsen 100 times in chess, how many of those 100 times would you be able to checkmate him? Maybe one. Maybe. Like if I get lucky. That dude is a world-class champion, best chess player to ever exist. I'm good. But the level of good that Magnus is at chess is at an exceptional rating that I would be lucky to beat that dude a single time. He is incredibly, incredibly good. I would have to study probably a couple 100 hours just to have that one game win. And the only reason it was because I'd probably win on a cheap shot on a line that I memorized that he wasn't prepared for. That'd be like the only way I'd be able to beat Magnus in a chess game. Magnus, if you're watching out there, you're a rock star chess player. Glenn, it doesn't matter if you have a 4.2 review rating, you would still be on a 4th star. So 4.2 or below is the same as 3.7. You are correct. That is correct. And by the way, if anybody ever wants to play me in a chess match to become a client of mine, I will happily put my name out there. I'm pretty confident in my skills on that one. Matt says, are there any other words not allowed in a listing title like gift? I would say, depending on your category, the rules will be different. If you're in a health category, be very careful on any health claims you make. There are other words that we have documented. Let me see if I can find my list. I have to go through our Google Drive right now to see if there's any other words. So prohibited words in titles. Let's see what comes up on my back end of my Google Drive here. List of banned words. Yes, I do have some. All right, let's see what this looks like. So you can't use the word Christmas, anniversary, Father's Day. That's very odd. Very, very weird. I want to say there's got to be more words than that. So, okay, I found a really big document on this. All right, so CBD, can't use anything in reference to that. Let's pull up the list here. So disease claims, avoid using trademark or brand names, author names, profanity. Don't use subjective commentary such as hot item or bestseller. Don't use ACI characters like this, like R symbols or C symbols. Don't exceed 200 characters. Free shipping, 100% quality. You can't use those. And then supposedly these symbols are also banned. So can't use any of those. Tress says, hi, Steven. Hi, back to you. Body comp, may I ask, if I have a parent listing with 4 variations and only one variation running low, if I launch another variation, will I have to run a campaign for that item too? Yes. Every SKU is, all advertising campaigns are SKU specific. So you would have to build entirely new campaigns or add the SKU into the current ad groups. Additionally, you may see some buoying up of like the out-of-stock variation pushing traffic to the in-stock variation, but it's insufficient. You'll still need to run campaigns on the new variation. Pope, any relaunch advice? Having some issues after my product yanked and hijacked the same month. That is rough. Spend lots on PPC, get some external traffic, spend some money on Google and Facebook to push to the listing, and very heavy on PPC. That's the number one advice I have there, William. Tress says, I have a new listing created and ready to go. Brand content is done in review, but I believe it's all good. I set the future date, left the main pick as blank, but it's showing as suppressed. Will this affect the honeymoon period? Should I start fresh with a new listing? As long as you don't have a sale on it, no, you're good to go, Tress. So what I would say is set the launch date, put the main photo in, you'll be totally fine. In the offer section and in the more detailed section, you can set the launch date, no problem. Let's go to Tion. I have a trademark for electronics items. If I apply another trademark using the same name for sports, do I have to wait 6 months to use A+ content? No. You can get trademarks and use a pending trademark, get your brand registry on Amazon in under 7 days. So this is a service that we've done 300 times. We've referenced a couple times today, so I'll be quick. But under 7 days to get your brand registry, you can get A+ content up like day 8 plus. So it's really, really good. James says, heard anything about Amazon removing global ratings? Yes, I have. Many people have been commenting on my videos about this. We do think these are going away, or they're at least not sharing them between portals. We don't have any public information from Amazon at this point, but yes, it seems to be the case. Trace says, Steve, thank you for doing this. Much appreciated for all of your help and time you give to help. You guys are very welcome. Obviously, I'm selfish in doing this. You guys end up buying some of my services over time, so I appreciate that. But I'm willing to give back to the community. It's all of us against Amazon, not us against each other. Rob says, how do you split a listing with 2 variations into 2 different listings? Delete the parent. Simple as that. Literally just delete the parent SKU. Yesim says, Chim, GS1 barcodes versus speedy barcodes. Where do you stand on this? So I would say, Tim, you probably want to buy from GS1 moving forward because we've seen Amazon signal on this question. I personally bought 20,000 UPCs off eBay, have yet to have a problem in my category, but many of our clients have had to show proof of GS1 certificates to get their items listed, which tells me that it's going to increasingly become a problem. Tana says, can you say more about Age of Sage, maybe not being profitable when selling so well? I have spent tremendous amounts of money on ads, and my ads are not profitable right now. That's what's going on with my Age of Sage product right now. And so the question is can I make money by Mother's Day? And that's what I'm holding out for. Additionally, I've had issues restocking this fast enough. So it's been really problematic to get this off the ground. It's been a very difficult and rough launch. I'm churning through units though. That's the hardest part. Now the question is can I turn through enough units to overcome the investment? And we're talking a major investment into this item on my part. So that's why it's not profitable yet. It's only 7 days old, so it shouldn't be profitable by day 7. But big Mother's Day push. I'm hoping it works out. Thomas says yesterday our review rating count dropped to 350 when we were at 900 plus the day before. Is there a reason Amazon has done this? Could be the global review rating issue. Could also be that the parents-child relationship with variations are no longer sharing in your category. It's the norm now to no longer share reviews across the child ASINs. Could also be that one of your items went out of stock, and it could also be that Amazon physically did actually remove those reviews. You may want to ticket Amazon to say that some of your reviews are missing to see if they can find and replace them in case there is a data issue. Play a little music when I take a drink here. All right. So Lungo says, also, could you please tell us how to launch a product with variations? So whenever you're loading a parentage, I recommend you do a template upload. It's a very complex subject, pretty boring for a live Q&A. I do have a video on how to build parentage. Let's see if I can find it. You might just be able to type into Google parentage my Amazon guy. Let's see. So I found my Facebook link. I'll post the Facebook link in here. All right, just put that in the chat. So watch that. That may help you out. Glenn says, do you push your Age of Sage products as made in the USA? Do you think it helps? I have yet to mention the USA made in USA angle. I do think it will help. However, I actually just simply forgot to do it. That's the honest truth. So yes, I think it's a good idea. Brett said, hey, Steven, wanting to get a second account set up. Heard it's getting less risky. That's correct. True story. Worries about screwing up the main account. What do I need to watch out for? 4 things. Make sure you have a different email address, a different bank account, a different credit card, and a different legal entity. All 4 of these things, never mix them. Your main admin email, do not use that anywhere else. No other Amazon accounts. Use a third email address to be a shared user on both accounts. That's cool. No problem there. Those are the 4 things. And for all of our clients that are full service with us, we will actually give you a personal recommendation straight into the sales team that will bypass any multiple account scenarios. Bodycomp says, thank you. You're very welcome. Yesem says, how do you know when it's time to quit on a product? If you've lost money on a product for more than 90 days, I would throw the towel in. Maybe some exceptions to that. If it's a seasonal product, obviously, or a Q4 product that could do very well, you might want to hold out for Q4, see what happens. Anything giftable, hold out for Q4 before you give up on it. Try and spend more on ads, change the main image, all kinds of things. So, if you were to look at the evolution of my Age of Sage product in 7 days, I've changed so many things about this listing. It's not funny. The main image, the pricing, everything. So it's completely fine to have many, many changes. David says, hi, Stephen, recently launched a new product, have 10 sales, but still no buy box. We are the only seller. What do you recommend? You might have a new account. That's the reason for you not having the buy box yet. So there could be like some metrics on your account affecting this. I highly recommend you try and get a few more sales on the door. Then this should be permanently solved on the account. Running out of steam on the voice here. Basil says, appreciate the advice. You're very welcome. Well, that was the last question in the queue then. So thank you guys for stopping by the My Amazon Guy podcast. We go live every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. There is tremendous amounts of content on my channel. If you are struggling with a particular issue, go over to the channel and type in your issue. There's a strong possibility I have a video for it because I have 650 different videos on every potential subject with Amazon. So go check that out after you're done watching today's video. You can see our subscriber counts are through the roof. We're gaining more people more and more every day. We talked about UPCs this week. We talked about supply chain with SellerSEO, the new advertising features with display, global reviews not combining, covered a video there 2 days ago, deadlines for COAs on supplements. There are many, many different playlists I've also created. I have playlists for SEO. I have playlists for PPC. If you haven't checked out the playlist section, go check that out here. You can see all these different playlists that we've built. These are all thoroughly curated, built to help you out. One of my favorite playlists is the SEO playlist. We had a 4-part series we did with Ad Badger. It's the most in-depth knowledge on all things SEO for Amazon you'll have ever watched. So if you like today's show, leave a comment. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like as well. I'll make sure I pay attention to that as well. And target profit margin, I would say try and do at least 100% gross profit, at least 30% net profit would be my target. You're very welcome for answering all the questions today. It's my pleasure to help serve the Amazon community. My name is Stephen Pope, and I am the founder of My Amazon Guy. Stop by, leave a question on any video, anytime.